Same balances, same interest rates, same monthly payment. Two payoff strategies. One of them is mathematically optimal. The other may be psychologically easier to finish. In our core example, the Avalanche method pays about $4,858 in interest. The Snowball method pays about $5,133. That is a difference of about $275. Not because the debt changed, but because the order changed. So the real question is not which method sounds smarter. The real question is, what is the price of motivation? This is not a niche problem. New York Fed data put U.S. credit card balances at roughly $1.28 trillion at the end of 2025. Federal Reserve G19 data showed commercial bank credit card plans where accounts were assessed interest averaging 21.52% in February 2026. Experian reported an average credit card balance of $6,768 in September 2025, and the IRS classifies credit card interest on personal expenses as non-deductible personal interest. That last detail matters. Avoiding a 21% credit card APR is not like earning 21% before tax. For most personal credit card debt, it is closer to a guaranteed after-tax return equal to the interest you no longer pay. The Avalanche method says, pay the minimum on every card, then send every extra dollar to the highest interest rate. The Snowball method says, pay the minimum on every card, then send every extra dollar to the smallest balance. The key difference is the sorting rule. Avalanche sorts by APR. Snowball sorts by balance size. Both can work if completed, but they optimize different variables. Avalanche optimizes interest saved. Snowball optimizes early account closures. Here is the clean math. If you put an extra $100 toward a 29.99% APR balance instead of a 15.99% APR balance, the 1-month interest difference is roughly $100 times the APR gap divided by 12. That is about $1.17 saved in the next month alone. $1 does not care which balance feels emotionally better, it only cares where the interest rate is higher. Repeat that logic every month, and the Avalanche method becomes a greedy algorithm that minimizes interest under a fixed payment budget, assuming you actually finish the plan. Now, apply the model. 3 cards. Card A has $1,000 at 15.99%. Card B has $4,000 at 29.99%. Card C has $7,000 at 21.99%. Minimums total $365. The person can pay $465 per month, so there is $100 of extra payoff power. Avalanche sends that extra money to Card B because 29.99% is the highest rate. Snowball sends it to Card A because $1,000 is the smallest balance. Avalanche does not get the first emotional win quickly. In this model, its first account closes around month 25. Snowball closes the small card around month 8. But that early win has a price. About $275 more interest over the full payoff period. This is where the debate gets more honest. Avalanche is not cold math, and Snowball is not bad math. Avalanche minimizes interest conditional on follow-through. Snowball may improve follow-through by creating visible progress sooner. In the core case, the premium for that faster first win is about $275. Some people would gladly pay that to stay motivated, others would not. The correct framework is not moral, it is numerical. How much extra interest does Snowball cost, and does the behavioral benefit justify that cost? The interest gap is not fixed. If your smallest balance is also your highest APR, Avalanche and Snowball choose the same first target. In our aligned order scenario, both methods pay about $2,759 of interest. The difference is 0. In a synthetic $6,768 average balance-sized scenario, Avalanche saves about $138. In the core $12,000 mismatch, Avalanche saves about $275. But in a large mismatch, $30,000 of debt where the biggest balance also has the highest APR, Avalanche saves about $2,154 and finishes 2 months faster. This is why rules of thumb can be dangerous. The shape of the debt stack matters. There is one strategy worse than choosing Snowball over Avalanche, making only minimum payments while adding new charges. The CFPB says issuers must tell cardholders how long it would take to pay off the current balance with only minimum payments and how much would pay it off in 36 months. The reason is simple. Paying more each month reduces interest and speeds up payoff. Avalanche and Snowball both assume the same thing. No new purchases, no missed payments, and the same payoff budget every month. Break that assumption, and the algorithm is no longer the main problem. Credit card interest on personal expenses is generally not deductible. So paying down a 21.52% card is usually equivalent to avoiding a 21.52% after-tax cost. That is why high-interest credit card debt is so mathematically aggressive. The payoff return is certain if the interest would otherwise accrue. Market returns are uncertain. Credit card APR is contractual. This does not tell anyone what to do. Cash flow safety, emergency reserves, and hardship options still matter. It explains why the math gives high APR balances such priority. The behavioral question can be written as a formula. Snowball can be economically defensible if the increased probability of finishing is worth more than the extra interest cost. In symbols, extra completion probability times the cost of not finishing should exceed the Snowball premium. In the core case, the Snowball premium is about $275. In the large mismatch case, it is about $2,154. Those are very different psychological price tags. A small premium may be a reasonable cost for momentum. A large premium means the motivation benefit has to be much stronger to justify the trade. Here is the framework. First, how wide is the APR spread? The wider the spread, the more Avalanche matters. Second, how misaligned are balance size and interest rate? If the smallest balance is also the highest APR, there is no conflict. Third, how much surplus payment exists above minimums? Bigger surplus usually shortens the whole payoff and can reduce the gap. Fourth, what is the psychological risk of quitting? If closing an account keeps the plan alive, Snowball has a real behavioral benefit. The point is not to worship one method, the point is to price the trade-off. Avalanche is the mathematical winner when the goal is minimum interest and the plan is completed. Snowball is the psychological challenger when the goal is building momentum and actually finishing. By the numbers, Snowball is not free. Sometimes it costs almost nothing. Sometimes it costs thousands. The mistake is not choosing one method over the other. The mistake is never calculating the price of the choice. This is Quantly, the math behind every market and sometimes every monthly statement.